What is up, everybody? Welcome to another week's episode of It's Called Football on the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube channel. I'm Jerry Walker and Jackson Fyda alongside me, as always. Interesting weekend we've had in the Premier League. A lot of entertaining matches. We're going to touch on 4 of them in a bit of depth. Should be fun, as always. We're going to touch on the Ballon d'Or that was announced yesterday. Some interesting rankings. You're wearing your Barcelona hat. There's a couple Barcelona players we'll talk about, and then obviously some Premier League players finished in the top 10 as well. And then wrap it up typically with a couple matches. We have our match of the week, one other match, and then we'll give our predictions. So before we do that, Jackson, how you doing on this, Tuesday morning?
Yeah, it's Tuesday over here, Tuesday morning. I'm doing all right. I mean, God is good. Dembele won, so Football gods are good.
Yes, it is. But we will start off with your boys, Arsenal, who hosted Man City, and let's say it did not get off to a very good start for Arsenal. Go down 1-0 after just 9 minutes. What was going through your mind when that happened?
It was their first attack of the game. It really was, and dude's just a tank. We've been talking about this. Erling Haaland's by far the hottest striker in the world right now. He didn't win the Gerd Müller trophy, which went to Victor Gyökeres, but that's only because he was injured last season.
Yeah.
So, he didn't win top striker at the Ballon d'Or ceremony. We all know that he's the best striker in the world at this moment. I mean, the pace that he had, because he started all the way back. He kind of started that play. All the way back, right around where their defensive third would be. And then he just took off running and no one could catch him. Simple overlap. Great finish. And it was just like, oh, here we go. Because early on, we look good. We're doing well. And we just get countered by a dude who is far more athletic and is a much better finisher than anyone you'll ever play against. So, yeah, it was very frustrating, to say the least. Within 10 minutes as well, going down 1-0 to a team that I had a feeling would then lock it well defensively. And they did.
Yep. It was relatively rough the rest of the 90 minutes for Arsenal. Not a whole lot. With that being said, Man City didn't exactly create many chances either, but ultimately they bent defensively and then they broke thanks to a goal from Gabriel Martinelli, who came off the bench 13 minutes early. So great super sub for them. I think it was a good goal. I think it was I think 1-1 was a very well-deserved result as well.
I'm willing to say that because when you look, yes, we did have 2/3 the possession, and we did have 12 shots compared to their 5. So if you're to take just stats into it, yes, we probably should have won. But when you're watching the actual feel of the game, it didn't feel like we actually created anything that dangerous up until that goal. You know what I mean?
But my contrary, neither did they.
No, neither did they. But they didn't need to. They already scored.
Yeah.
So they already scored their goal, and then I think Haaland got one more counterattack in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what minute.
Yeah, he did. I can't remember either, but I know he did. And Raya came up big at one point. So
yeah, but like you said, probably a fair result just based on it. And if you look at just straight stats, yes, Arsenal. But when you actually watch the flow of the game, I think a 1-1 draw is pretty appropriate. It's frustrating because with all that possession, nothing was really created. You know what I mean? We didn't really give Gyökeres too many good chances. We didn't really create anything. That was the frustrating part of it, right? It's great to fight back and get that result, right? It's actually a huge result, and it could be a huge confidence booster as we go and play the mighty Port Vale tomorrow. But it just was such a frustrating game to watch because of that. It was so dull. You know what I mean? So dull.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to happen not all the time, but more frequently between these big teams. They play rather unexciting matches for 90 minutes, then chaos ensues at the end.
Yeah.
But I'm also a question for you, because this was William Saliba's first match back. Do you think that played into anything with conceding the first shot on target and it being 9 minutes in, that he isn't not saying he's not fully healthy, but it takes you a second. You played center back. You're missing a couple matches due to injury. Does it take a little bit of time to kind of readjust to the pace of play, especially when you are playing a Man City team that has Erling Haaland, who's quick.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think the thing with Saliba, though, is he inspires so much confidence for the team with his defensive presence, even if he's not playing well. Like when you look back at the Real Madrid game, Champions League last year, he didn't play well. He was giving the ball away. He was getting he doesn't usually. He looked like he was not fully in it, but you still like having him in there just because of that presence that he has. And he does inspire fear in the other team's attackers as well. He's a big physical force. People know how good of a defender he is. Yes. But like you said, it does take a bit to go into it or to get back into it, excuse me. So seeing us concede in the first 10 minutes after taking Mosquera, who, by the way, I actually thought was playing pretty well, and I wouldn't have even minded if he had started the game. I also don't mind Saliba starting as well. It's one of those where it's kind of like whatever happens, happens, because I see the value in both. But like you said, it takes a second. You need to get that step back. He did get that step back throughout the game. First 10 minutes. And it's not saying that goal was his fault. I mean, it was actually
no, it wasn't.
But I mean, it can definitely play a part.
I will say the 1-0 result, not bad for Arsenal. They sit second in the table, but I think the other big news from this was everyone's kind of returning. Kaio Saka came on, played 45 plus minutes. Eze has been playing, but he played 45 strong. Martinelli's back, and Nwaneri even got some important minutes for the young kid. So I think it's very big that all these guys are returning for Arsenal, and right after getting a strong 1-1 draw with Man City.
Yeah, the only issue now is Madueke is out.
Oh, yeah, he did pick up that injury.
He's out for 2 months. So that sucks right there. But luckily, Saka is just coming back. So at least we have someone to – like both times someone's gotten injured, someone's been able to slot right in. And on the bench, we still do have Nwaneri. And Gallman is showing promise. I'm not saying Gallman will be able to deliver against big teams, but I do feel a lot better about our depth.
Yeah, I mean, he looked damn good against Leeds when they played each other. And
who doesn't, though? No.
Wolves didn't.
Wolves did not. That is very
true. I'll tell you that much. Can you get my celebratory 3-1 win for Leeds? So,
I mean,
I don't know if you saw the free kick goal for it.
Oh, it was nice.
Beautiful goal from Anton Stach, his first regular season goal for Leeds.
You guys are doing better than Newcastle, Brighton, Forest, and Villa right now. So.
Oh, yeah. Hey, as long as we finish 17th or better, that's all I care about.
Hell yeah.
Moving on to a team that barely finished 17th or better last season, Man United hosted Chelsea, and this was a crazy start from them the first 5 minutes. Robert Sanchez comes running out of his goal, takes out Embuemo, given a straight red card. Chelsea are down to 10 men immediately. 10 minutes later, Bruno Fernandes gets Manu on the board, and they go up 1-0. Then I think the biggest surprise, and I don't know if he was injured or anything, but Cole Palmer got subbed off 21 minutes into the match. Which
they made 3 subs around that point.
Yes, because as soon as the red card happened, they made 2 for tactical stuff. Obviously, you got to bring a goalkeeper in. So there's 1 tactical one, bringing off Pedro Neto, and then you bring off Cole Palmer, who I was sitting with some people who are Chelsea fans. They said if he was still playing towards the end of the match, this could very well be tied.
Yep.
But Manu, right after the Cole Palmer thing, substitution comes off. Within the next 15 minutes, they score again, and it's Casemiro this time. Makes it 2-0 Manu at home in the pouring rain. Doesn't seem anything could go wrong, and then he gets a second yellow card right before the end of the half, and he gets sent off. So I'll say 2 red cards, 3 subs, a total of 3 yellows. I guess one of them ended up a 4th, including the red, and 2 goals. Pretty eventful first half for 2 teams that we kind of said this might be a boring match on.
Yeah, I mean, what else could you ask for? It's straight excitement. I mean, first of all, Casemiro, absolute idiot. He's lucky that the result. We'll get in a second half here, but just absolute idiot because you were given a gift. You were at full control. Absolute idiot.
And it wasn't like he needed to do the foul the second time. He just wrapped his arms around the guy from behind and just pulled him down. It's clear yellow, especially when, I mean, if you haven't been booked yet already, fine, take the risk. But you're already on a yellow. You know if you do this, you're going to get sent off. So it's a boneheaded move.
Yep.
And then the second half, chaos continued. We had 4 more yellow cards and a goal from Trevoh Chabola for Chelsea to make it 2-1 with 10 minutes left. And Chelsea looked like they could have maybe broken through. They just missed stuff at the end there.
Yeah. They had a chance right at the end. I can't think of what it was exactly. I just remember they had one right towards the end.
Yeah, where oh god. Yeah, they had a chance. I don't think it even went on target, but that was one that they could have put away. But this was one that Man U won in the first half and just put too much pressure on, and Chelsea never looked like fighting back into it until the end, which isn't the thing you want to see from your team.
No, and I will say, if I'm Ruben Amorim, I'm going up to Robert Sanchez at the end and giving him a fat hug because his decision to come out and WWE tackle that early just gave him a massive win, massive 3 points to kind of help, get some of that trust back with the club. I know this was a freaky game and people might look at it that way, but 3 points is 3 points no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And if Robert Sanchez doesn't make that challenge in the 5th minute, Chelsea goes and wins this game. I 100% believe that.
Agreed. Because you're not bringing off 3 attackers in the first 21 minutes either.
No, you're not. No, Ruben Amorim needs to go up to Robert Sanchez after the game. I hope he did. Give him a fat hug. Seek him out in the locker room because that man just gave you a massive 3 points.
I think this is a chess, not checkers type move by Robert Sanchez to keep Ruben Amorim in a job at the moment for a little bit longer.
That's what we need. We need this. We need slight victories to give them hope.
Yes, exactly. And it's not like their schedule's that insanely difficult over the next couple weeks before the next international break. They have away to Brentford and then home to Sunderland, both very winnable for Man U.
Yeah.
But it's one that had they lost this one and been battered at home, it might have been the end of things for Ruben.
Well, they'd be on 4 points if they hadn't gone 3 here, sitting probably in 17th-ish place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Somewhere in between 15, 16, 17, depending on the goal difference. But had they lost, they would have been.
Yeah, they'd probably be down at 17.
Oh, what a bummer. But, oh well. Anything else on this one before we move down the line?
I saw the funniest GIF used for the Robert Sanchez tackle of some dude just he's coming on from a fishing trip. He's pissed off, like he's in a little rowboat. Then his friend comes and just full lays out form tackles him into the water. And someone used that for the Robert Sanchez tackle. I thought it was hilarious. The memes around the Robert Sanchez tackle were awesome. So the game, I mean, from a neutral standpoint, was actually very fun and exciting to watch just because of all the stupid shit that went on.
Oh yeah, I mean it was just chaotic and kind of what you always hope from this type of match. So not too bad, but we'll touch on the Ballon d'Or in a second. But I do think Chelsea taking off a top 10 Ballon d'Or finisher doesn't help you that much. But moving on to a local derby, for the first time since Everton moved away from Goodison Park, they go to Liverpool, go to Anfield, and it was all Liverpool for the first half. They go up 2-0, Gravenbach with a good goal. Then he gets an assist to Hugo Ekitike, who's been on fire. Ultimately, it's Ganaguye gets one back for Everton, but it's not quite enough as Liverpool holds on for the 2-1 victory.
Yeah. First of all, just want to keep shouting out Ekitike. Even with Isak coming in and the pressure that could put on him, the dude is still producing goals. which begs the question, who do you play, right? Ekitike is in form, or you play Isak, who is a proven Premier League striker. So really interested to see him continue scoring. Also interesting to note that I think this was like the first game that Liverpool's won all season that didn't require a late game winner in like the 80th plus minute. They took care of business in the first half. First time we've seen it all year, because it's been really annoying me how they've been finding ways to scrape out 3 points. And this game, they looked good from the beginning. So it's a little bit harder to be upset about it. They dominated. They won the possession battle, won the shots battle. But Everton actually didn't look that bad, and they got the goal back. First of all, great finish, great layoff, great finish, well worked. But yeah, Liverpool is just better. That was at the end of the day. I don't think Everton played that bad. I really don't. I think they played about as well as you could going into Anfield. I think Liverpool just played better. They're on paper the best team in the Premier League, and the only way they don't win the league this year, saying this now, is if they fall apart, which I still think is very likely, or not very likely, could very easily happen when you have Isak and Ekitike up top. See that battle. Then you got all these new guys who came in, what happens when things go south, But when they're clicking, like they're clicking here, I don't see anyone that's going to beat them right now at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I mean, I think this is such a big motivation for them winning actually comfortably. Because as you mentioned, their wins in the Premier League, they needed an 88th and a 90th or in a stoppage time goal against Bournemouth. Needed a 100th minute goal in stoppage time against Newcastle to win. 83rd, I think, to beat Arsenal.
Yep.
And then another stoppage time against Burnley, and then in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. So actually winning a game from start to finish and not having to pull something out of your ass at the very end was massive for them, and a very big step in the right direction. And I will say, defensively, they looked pretty stout. They did dominate this match in virtually every aspect, but it was one that at the end of the day, they were too talented up top and took advantage of their chances when Everton didn't. But it's one that, again, this rivalry is always going to be close and entertaining matches.
It is. I was really hoping Everton could pull one back at the end, but like you said, Liverpool, we've been saying this, they're just better. And if they perform the way they should perform, they're realistically going to win just about every game this year. The only 2 teams that I could see giving them trouble would be City and Arsenal on the road. At home, Liverpool takes every single team by far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have one of the best home field advantages in Anfield, and we've seen that come through already, and we saw that again this weekend. But it's one that I'm curious to see what happens when they do go to the likes of Man City's, Chelsea's, Arsenal's, those types of teams, to see, can they hold on the road while also playing midweek Champions League and cup matches?
That's really the question. And again, we got to let the season get into it a little bit more, because it's real easy to look good early on, but it's what happens as the season progresses when the fixtures start piling up, when the injuries possibly start piling up. That's when we saw teams like Arsenal last year completely fall apart. But I do have faith in this Liverpool team to go and do it again. I just think they've got so much depth. And I think the only thing that ruins it is if they start having some squad dynamic issues, to be completely honest. Bar some freak, like a freak slew of injuries, I think that's the only thing that does it.
Yeah, and I really don't see that happening. I think there's too much veteran leadership, and I think Arne Slot will do a great job keeping everyone's heads pretty leveled. And so maybe you go cold, and then you also have the ability to play in the cup games instead of in the league matches, or vice versa. So I think everyone's going to get their fair share of time on the pitch. Moving on to another crazy finish, an exciting one, I guess. Brighton were hosting Tottenham over the weekend, and they went up 2-0 in the first half, looking completely in control, and then Richarlison gets one back. And ultimately, this match ends after an own goal in the 82nd minute, a 2-2 draw. I don't know if this is better for how Tottenham responded, or worse as far as how Brighton came out. I don't know who this one was really on.
I think it's both. It's got to be both. If you go up 2-0 in the first half, you got to see the game out. At the end of the day, I don't care how good the team is you're playing. You're at the Premier League level and you've got a 2-goal advantage. You just got to sit in. And realistically, even if, say, Wolves was up 2-0 against Liverpool and Liverpool comes back and wins the game 3-2, you still got to look at your defense, be like, all you got to do is hoof it 90 yards down the field. Just get it out, you know? So I think it's definitely part of that element for Brighton. You're up 2-0. You got to see the game out. And to be fair, the own goal was incredibly unlucky. I'm really not going to throw that on Van Heck. Like, that's one of those ones that comes in and misses some people's heads and it just hits you. You can't really react all that well. It's just a fluky goal. And we actually saw that happen as well in another game. I think it was Fulham who scored an own goal similar to that, unless I'm getting in.
Oh, yeah. Two weeks ago, Leeds and Fulham. It was an unlucky corner that was kind of bounced off the defender's head and went in to help Fulham win 1-0.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that happen. I think, it's Ethan Pinnock for Brentford had one this week as well. It just smashed him in the head, but it totally wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really unfortunate, especially to happen in the 82nd minute. But from a Tottenham perspective, you're on the road. You're down 2-0 early. Very easy to just kind of give up. Just pack up shop, get ready for next week. But they came out and they did what they needed to get themselves back in it. Richarlison's goal was actually before half. A little bit lucky with how it worked out. Still got to finish it, though. And they kept pressing. And when you put balls into the area like Mo Kudus did there, good things can happen at any time. And that's exactly what happened. So if I'm Tottenham, I'm very happy with this as well. Thomas Frank, very happy. Not happy to go down 2-0. That needs to not happen again. You can't go down 2-0 because you're not always going to be able to come back. Teams are going to lock it in against you, and you're not going to be able to come back. But the fact that you did shows some serious resolve in your team. It shows some resolve that wasn't there last year. So from a Tottenham perspective, that second half, and obviously the goal right before it, I can be happy with it. I'm not thrilled, but I'm happy to see that my team has that fight in them and that they can come back and at least salvage a point from a very dire situation. And they're still doing pretty well right now, sitting on 10 points.
Yeah, because, I mean, even last season at this point, and it's still 5 matches in, but this Tottenham team, even before all the wheels fell off, didn't look like they would salvage anything for matches that they go down 2-0. And now they're at least doing something. And it gives us, like you said, they're up to 10 points. We have the exact top 5 we'd expect after 5 matches. Liverpool 1, Arsenal 2, Tottenham in 3rd, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. I think that's exactly what we all predicted.
Right?
But,
obviously.
Yeah, but otherwise it's a couple other interesting matches from the past weekend, but nothing that really stood off. Bournemouth did get that 0-0 draw with Newcastle, and Aston Villa has finally scored a goal.
Dude, what's happening with Villa right now is like
it's crazy.
Mind-boggling. They scored their first goal, and they've still only got, friggin' 3 points. They've only gotten 3 draws.
Yep. So I guess defensively they're holding us stout for the most part, but
2 clean sheets.
Yeah.
But
it's very, very disappointing. And this came against a 10-man Sunderland team. I think the red card, yeah. Sunderland got a man sent off 33 minutes in. So you're a man up against a newly promoted team. I guess that's fair play to Sunderland, but Villa, you got to be doing better than this.
You do. And fair play for them coming back. And the Sildor finish was good. Assist from Granit Xhaka. But you're up a guy against a team that's newly promoted. You got to see it out. You just got to see it out. Villa has just been so disappointing this year. And I know they lost some players that they had last year. Some players they had in on loan, they didn't get them back. But they still have such a solid team when I'm looking at it right now. There's just no excuse for this poor start. They need to pick it up.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, they're not the only ones. It's been a very bad start for them. West Ham we've talked about, and Wolves became the 6th team to have 5 matches played and not a single point to their name after another loss. they've just looked diabolical, and I don't see any way they turn it around, at least at the moment. There's nothing that they showed in that Leeds match where it's like, oh, maybe. And I don't think Leeds is the best team by far at all. So when you actually have to play top 10, top 15 teams in the Premier League, it might get even worse for Wolves.
Can I rant on something? Why is Vitor Pereira getting a new contract for 3 years? Well, that one made no sense to me. This season started so poorly, and then you give the dude a new contract because he helped save you from relegation last year. Look at this year. Look at this year. You can't back on the newly promoted teams to just lay a shitter every single game. They're performing. Leeds is actually winning some games, getting points. They beat you. And then you're looking, Sunderland's doing all right. Burnley's looked pretty mid. I could see that. But, I mean, it's not like you can expect that to just save you, like the other newly promoted teams just being horrible again. They're already showing they have class. And then you go and give your manager a 3-year contract when you've gotten 0 points after 5. I mean, I guess this was before this. So 0 points from 4 games at the time. And now you're looking at this and what are you going to do? You have to fire him. You're going to have to pay him more money. You have to pay a bigger buyout if you have to fire the dude. That was the dumbest administrative thing I have seen in a while. Why do you renew the contract now? Renew it over the summer, heading into it, so he's got some hope. Now it just looks foolish.
What it looks is it looks desperate.
Yeah.
And so but at the same time, like, who would they hire? Would you bring back Nuno? I don't think he wants to take over this shit show.
I wouldn't touch Wolves with a 15.
No.
Right,
and that's the thing. That's why I think they extended him, is because they know their situation, the board does, and they don't think anyone will want to be a part of this absolute catastrophe of a team.
I just don't get why you give him the contract now. You're going to spend more money if you feel like you need to make a move, though.
And I will say they did have some bright spots. They didn't dominate Leeds, but they had more possession, way more shots. I think it was 6 shots for Leeds total, 4 on target, 2 not. Wolves had 6 shots on target. Carl Darlow stepped up great, but I love the expected goals. So the match finished 3-1. And expected goals are a really weird stat. I don't really know how they're all measured out, but
yeah,
Wolves finished at 1.78 and Leeds at 0.48. So it's one of those ones that you play better as a team at points, but you still completely fall apart, and that's where it's on the manager. Going back to that topic, he doesn't inspire the team at all. And they went up 1-0 after 8 minutes.
Hey, and I know it's early, and there's so much time. Yeah, I just didn't understand that. I just didn't understand the decision to give the dude a 3-year contract when you know you're going to be in a relegation fight. Because if you do need to make a change, if you feel you need to as a board, unless they're just riding with it and saying, if we go down, we come right back up, which I don't know. I don't know what the play is.
But then you lose players and other things, so it's not always the easiest move in the world.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on, unless you have anything else on this last weekend of Premier League before we move on.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Just had to get that out of my system.
Oh, I mean, rightfully so. It's so stupid. But it kind of reminds me of when Leeds kept Jesse Marsch after he saved us.
Yeah, we saw that one. We saw the writing on the wall on that, and I was blinded by my red, white, and blue goggles. But yeah, we've seen this movie play out before. It's all I gotta say.
A movie we haven't seen play out before came in the Ballon d'Or yesterday. Ousmane Dembele wins the Ballon d'Or for the first time following his incredible season with PSG, winning the Champions League. I think they won 4 other trophies in France, and they were just the best team all season. A couple Premier League players did finish inside the top 10. Cole Palmer finished 8th. Now, I guess, technically, Gianluigi Donnarumma is now a Premier League player, but that wasn't considered in this, as he was PSG's goalkeeper. And then Mo Salah at 4th. First of all, were you surprised that Ousmane Dembele won over Lamine Yamal?
No, that needed to happen. I had a bad feeling they were going to give to Lamine heading in. And I'm really glad they didn't because Dembele deserved it. We put a lot of emphasis on winning trophies when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. So if you'd given it to Lamine, it would have been crazy, especially considering the fact that Dembele objectively had a better year anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there going, I think Rafinha should have been higher than Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was like, what did you think of just the general rankings? Because Rafinha finished 5th, and he had a superb year. You and I were talking about that in our Slack chat, and it's one that it's like, I feel like Rafinha did better than Yamal at points, but Lamine Yamal has already become this raging superstar that because he's 18.
I think that's a huge part of it. He's 18, so people give his performances more weight. But just objectively speaking, I think Rafinha did better. And he should have finished second, in my opinion. He should have at least been top 3, even if you give it over Lamine. I don't know. I give the team was like a crucial part of PSG's run to the Champions League title and their Club World Cup final as well. But I just wouldn't give it to him over Rafinha. You know, him finishing where he finished in 3rd was surprising to me. I think Mo Salah at 4th was just about right, but I would have liked to see Rafinha move up and Vitinha go down to that 5th position. After that, it doesn't really matter that much. I don't really think. You're in the top 10.
No.
I don't think it matters that much. But I just think Rafinha should have been 2nd. I was going into it thinking that low-key, like if Barca had won it, I think Rafinha should have won the Ballon d'Or if they had made it all the way to the Champions League final and won it. I think Rafinha should have won it. But obviously it didn't happen. I think Dembele won. That was the obvious choice for those of us who actually know football and don't just salivate over an 18-year-old in a weird way. I am glad that this happened. Lamine Yamal's head is already bigger than most of us could ever achieve in a lifetime. So thank God he didn't have another thing to add to this growing ego that I think is going to ruin his talent over the years. I'm really
my concern isn't necessarily his ego, but it's the people around him.
But that's what stokes the ego, though.
Exactly. I guess it's that, but it's not necessarily coming from him thinking he's the greatest. It's everyone telling him he is, and he's like, "Oh shit, now I actually have to perform." I'm not saying it's similar to, but I could see him have a very, very similar path as Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, which he still hasn't won one.
Yeah, and Mbappe's first major season in Monaco, and then when he moved to PSG later on, he finished 7th. Since then, he has not won it. He finished 4th the year after, and that was the year that they won the World Cup in 2018. So it's one that I could see Lamine Yamal win a World Cup next year, but I don't know if – I think he will win a Ballon d'Or solely because Mbappe, you look at the guys who he finished behind in his second season. Luka Modric, who won it, Ronaldo, Griezmann, right ahead of Messi, Mo Salah. It's one that you have these guys who are legends of the game, and Mbappe just hasn't gotten there. And I could see something similar happen to a guy like Lamine Yamal if something doesn't calm down in him.
Yeah. I like when you look at the dude's ability at this young age.
Oh my God, it's
class. I am a little concerned that one day it'll take a toll on his body and he won't have the longevity. But at the same time, sports physiology has advanced exponentially so that we're seeing players be able to play longer careers, all that fun stuff. I think if he keeps his head down, he could honestly beat Messi, Ronaldo level.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll happen because Ronaldo was so focused and so driven. The man is an absolute psychopath, but it's all focused on soccer. And that's why he is able to be arguably, some people think he's the best player of all time. Stupid argument, but he is up there in that conversation for sure because of that drive he had. And Messi is so damn awkward and just is so bad at every other aspect of life. And it seemed like all of his attributes just went towards soccer that he's just like the perfect human to do it. Like we had two freaks of nature basically for different ways. Messi is just gifted beyond belief. I think literally every single attribute he could have went into soccer because you see that man try to talk in like a social setting. He has no show. He's gotten better. He's got no social skills whatsoever. And then Ronaldo is just such a psychopath focused on soccer that allowed him to get there. I think Lamine is going to get too distracted by all the other stuff. I mean, his birthday party, the news came out. He had dwarves, he had people, or excuse me, little people. He had people that he was trying to get women with specific chest dimensions. It's just for an 18th birthday, that's freaking wild. He's already getting distracted by all this other stuff. So I guess kind of went on a tangent there, but needless to say, I'm glad he didn't win it. I think it's good for him as a player that he didn't win it. Maybe it'll motivate him a little bit more and keep him focused. But it is still impressive. He is the first player ever to win back-to-back Copa trophies. Very well deserved. He is definitely the best young player in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So
and I do want to make a comparison to, you brought up Messi and Ronaldo. I think the biggest issue with Lamine Yamal is you look at who's around him at Barcelona at the moment. And then you look at who is at Barcelona when Messi made his debut and when Ronaldo made his debut. Man United, like Barcelona with Messi, these players were on that team. Ronaldinho, not necessarily the best role model, but great player, kept his head down. Andres Iniesta, Xavi, Carlos Puyol, Deco, all of these insanely talented players. You had Van Bronckhorst, Samuel Eto'o, incredible talent. Man U had the Neville brothers, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ryan Giggs, who is the most serious person you'd have, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes. All these guys who were veteran presence on these teams, and and it seems like that kept them more level-headed, if that makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. Whereas Lamine Yamal, he's surrounded by Robert Lewandowski, I guess, Mark ter Stegen, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah, this could be the issue. You're actually kind of hitting on the issue.
The team is so young that it's they're all just they're all just kids.
They're all learning. Some of the
best players. Yeah. Pedri, who finished 11th, I think, in the Ballon d'Or rankings, he's 22.
Gavi's
22. Gavi's 21.
Al Kubarsi's young. Alejandro Balde's young.
Even to an extent. Rafinha's 28, so that's not exactly veteran level.
Yeah, he's not a spring chicken.
No, but it's just something that, like, I was thinking about when you were saying it. It's like he doesn't have the right. He's not in the right situation to have to completely dedicate to this. He's young. He wants to go do other things. And he's on a team that is also surrounded by the youngsters. And they've tasted some winning, but they need to kind of lock in. And I mean, nothing against Hansi Flick, but he's not the best manager in the world. I mean, he's not like Alex Ferguson, who he would have taken no – If Ronaldo had come out and said, "Oh yeah, I'm having this birthday party for my 18th now that I'm at Man U," that would have been shut down instantly. Yeah. Not by the manager, but by players as well. So
I will give Hansi Flick credit. You see, Rashford got benched for being 2 minutes late.
Yes, that is a fair play.
Yeah, but no, I get what you're saying though. Like, Sir Alex. But I think it's a lot of the reason Ronaldo turned into the beast that he is because he played for Sir Alex, and then he shifted from being just a tricky, skillful winger to the absolute beast that we all know and love today.
And it's also you play with some of the guys I mentioned who they've won the treble. They know what it takes to win. Whereas this Barcelona team, not saying anything, I know you're rocking the hat, but it's like they haven't won much until the last 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
So it's one that they don't have the culture of winning and doing exactly what it has to do to win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree.
I just have one.
From my academy days when I was in Arizona. Yeah. I'm by no means a fan. I just like the hat.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. I do have one other thing I want to say on the Ballon d'Or rankings. Can we give a round of applause to Scott McTominay for finishing 18th?
Hell yeah.
I think that's
honestly, he could have maybe gone higher. He had a ridiculous year.
Yeah, he really did. And Vinny also falling to 16th after he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do 10 times more work after finishing second a year ago."
It's what he gets, dude. He
Yeah.
is actually one of the most unlikable players if you're not a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve the hate that comes his way, but he's also very unlikable.
Yes, very much so. And I mean, Lamine Yamal could eventually become that way if he lets his attitude. Yeah.
He already is. I'm already rooting against him. Go Desiree Doué. That's my guy now.
Yeah, I do like Desiree Doué.
Doué's he's young as well, and he's more focused. He's more humble.
Yeah. Another side of things, Dembele, great redemption arc. I'll just keep that quick and just say that. From when he thought he was going to be a has-been and to a nobody to the Ballon d'Or winner. So,
yeah, we've been focusing so much on Lamine Yamal, but yeah, we kind of skipped over the fact that Dembele was predicted to have the world at his feet when he was at Dortmund, and before that, I think he was at Rennes.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone saw the potential, and it never really felt like he lived up to it. Felt kind of disappointing. Felt like he was just a pace merchant who never really developed his game.
Yeah, he was consistently injured at Barcelona. And
injuries, lack of confidence. But then you go to PSG and you turn it on and become the best player in the world. Fair play. And I also love Ousmane Dembele. He's such a fun player to watch. He seems like he'd be an enjoyable person to get to meet. So I'm very happy that he won, and I'm very happy when Lamine Yamal got put in his place. And if I'm Rafinha, I still feel slighted, and hopefully he uses that as motivation going forward.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Moving on to some Premier League matches this weekend. It's another weird one that, it's a lot of big teams versus small teams. So, I mean, we have the Man City, Burnley. We've got Chelsea, Brighton, Man U, Brentford. So our match of the week is Arsenal and Newcastle, going to Newcastle. So mostly because even though Newcastle's been a bit disappointing this season, they're both in the Champions League. Arsenal just had a very exciting match over the weekend. Newcastle disappointing against Brighton, against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And they kind of need to get things turned around. So I'll let you kick it off. What are you expecting from this match?
This one's tricky here. I think both teams could use a win. Newcastle more so than Arsenal, just based on how the league's gone so far. They have 1 win, 3 losses, and a draw. Or, excuse me, 1 win, 3 draws, and a loss. Haven't been able to get the 3 points. So for them, this is a huge opportunity to do that and do it against a very good team. And the key thing for them is that they're at home. Their fan base is great. That could carry them a long way. Arsenal perspective, season started out fine. I mean, you lost at Liverpool at the very end, and you drew against City in a very tough game. I mean, it's a pretty rough way to start the year. You have to play probably your 2 biggest challengers come year's end for the Premier League title. You get that out of the way. But this is going to be a tough game. It really is. And this could go a long way if Arsenal goes on the road and wins this. So I think both teams are looking at this as a huge opportunity. I'm actually going to go with a draw.
Really? Okay.
I really am. Because I feel like either team could easily win it. And I feel like realistically someone will. The way I'm looking at it right now is 1-1. I see a 1-1 game. I see Arsenal scoring first. And then I feel a concession happening. I feel a goal coming from Newcastle. I feel them getting something. And then I feel Newcastle dominating the final procedures of the game and honestly deserving to win more. I am backing a 1-1 tie in this one. I think I honestly don't know. I could see either one winning, and that's why I'm going 1-1. I think it really just depends on the day. We'll see what happens midweek, if any injuries happen, if something happens as well leading into it, because it is only Tuesday, not until Sunday.
Yeah, and like you said, both teams play midweek. Arsenal goes to Port Vale and Newcastle hosts Bradford City. Not exactly the highest of quality teams, but something could happen. I wouldn't expect either team to put out their top lineup. And that's what concerns me a bit. Newcastle's lack of goal scoring. They'd be second fewest goals in the Premier League with just 3 through 5 matches, tied with Wolves. Only Aston Villa has less, as we mentioned earlier, with 1. Meanwhile, Arsenal has given up the least amount of goals with 2. They now get some attacking help back. Get Saliba back, who after his first match will definitely be looking like the Saliba of old, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think Arsenal has a win in this one. It's just I think there's too many questions about Newcastle and where the hell they're going to score. I know we've talked about that with Arsenal, but we know where Arsenal's going to score from once they have the right players healthy.
Yeah.
Newcastle, I do not see anywhere on the field that they might score based on anything I've seen from them this season.
I will say this is a big opportunity for Victor Gyökeres to get a goal against a good team. He's been scoring, but it's been against teams that you'd expect goals to come from. He's kind of been a ghost in some of these other games. Against Man U, he was a ghost. Against Liverpool, didn't do anything. And against City, didn't do anything. I'm not saying it's necessarily his fault, but this is his chance to go on the road against a good team and score that goal and not just give you confidence with goal scoring, but give you the confidence that you can do it against the best in the Premier League. Not saying Newcastle is necessarily the best, but they're a Champions League team. They're a very good team. They do have good defenders. If you can go on the road and get a goal against them, huge. And it's also on the other side of the coin, like you said, Newcastle struggling. And if you go with Voltemade up top, if he gets a goal, is he suddenly getting looked at as the guy? Is he going to be the guy who can, help get Newcastle back on track? Because he was brought in, what do they call him? Something Messi. I forget what his exact terminology is. Maybe it was
giant Messi. Isn't he like 6'7", 6'8", or something ridiculous?
6'6". He's 6'6", absolutely huge. Maybe it was I forget what it was, but the dude's good and he shows a lot of potential. He's got a goal in his first 2 games. If he could get one here, then that's also a big confidence boost as well. So I think from a striker perspective, this will be really interesting to see because they can both use this goal in different ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think he's the paciest in the world, and we saw Arsenal struggle with that last week, but he is a very, like you said, very tall, big guy, so could cause some issues. Something Newcastle needs to figure out who's replacing Alexander Isak still, especially with Visa still being hurt.
Yeah.
Moving on to the only other one we'll go a little in depth with, only because it's been a weird rivalry as of late. Crystal Palace hosting Premier League champions from a year ago, Liverpool, rematch of the Community Shield, which went to Crystal Palace on penalties. Palace has been on a tear as of late. They've won. They're still unbeaten in the Premier League. They're still 5th, so they've looked really, really good. Liverpool, we already know, has been perfect, 5-0. I do think Palace could give them some troubles.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. It's the whole team as a whole. It's been playing well. Dean Henderson's looked really good in net. But is it going to be enough to stop the power and attack of Liverpool?
Yeah, and that's going to be the kicker, isn't it? You've had great results so far this season. Palace has played phenomenally well. They've carried in some of that momentum from them winning the FA Cup, getting to Europe for the first ever time. They've looked good defensively. They really have. As you said, solid in goal, and their defensive line has been good. And this is fun to watch because Chris Richards has been so good for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Like watching him play, he has been phenomenal. But Liverpool, that's the issue,
Yeah, and you look at who they've played so far this season. 0-0 with Chelsea on the road. That's a good result. Chelsea have been a bit disappointing so far. 1-1 at home to Forest. 3-0 at Aston Villa, who's been bad. 0-0 with Sunderland at home, who hasn't been very good. And then 2-1 at a bad West Ham.
Yeah. So we're amping it up. That's the issue. And that's the problem. Liverpool has Ekitike, who is in flying form starting his career. They have Alexander Isak, who we all know is quality. That's just the strikers we're talking about. They also have, mind you, the 4th best player in the world, according to the Ballon d'Or rankings. Most right there. And then whoever else you want to throw in. Florian, maybe.
Yeah, Mert Slabajai has been playing well. Gravenbach had a goal and an assist last match. Then you get defensive as well with Van Dijk. Konate's been up and down, but he's starting to look better. And then one of the best goalkeepers in the world in Alisson. So
Gakpo, you have
yeah.
solid midfield. I just don't see it for Palace. I
don't either.
I know they've been playing well. I know they actually took the match earlier this year in the Community Shield, but I just don't see it happening here. I think this is one that Liverpool doesn't wait till the end again. I think they score early. Now, I know they're playing today, but like you said, with the other teams we talked about, like Newcastle and Arsenal, you're going to see a rotated squad. They're going to be fine on that in that regard. I think they score early, and I think they dominate the game there. I think they win 3-1. I think Palace has been really strong defensively, but at a certain point, it's going to break. And I think this is a game where it's going to break. And because it breaks, I think you see more than just a couple go in. That's why I'm saying 3. I think it'll just be such a shell-shocking experience, and you'll see 2 first half, 1 second half. I do think Palace will get 1. Maybe it's a fluky set piece. I don't know. At that point, the game will already be over, in my opinion. Give me 3-1 Liverpool. I'd love to see Palace continue on with their form, though. And if they do go out there and show not saying they need to win, but if you can keep a clean sheet against Liverpool, then I'm fully in on Crystal Palace's back line.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at Liverpool's lineup for their match today against Southampton, and Isak is starting. Ekitike's on the bench, but you have no Van Dijk on the bench, no Konate on the bench, no Alisson on the bench, no Schlabajai on the bench or starting. I guess none of these guys are starting, obviously. But I said Gakpo, no Salah, no Verts. It's pretty much an entire backup team. The only guys who've started recently, Ekitike on the bench, Bradley on the bench, Milos Kirkseg on the bench, and then Frimpong and Andy Robertson, who've been in and out of the lineup at times, are both starting. So I do love the 3-1 shout. I think they're going to win relatively comfortably. I do think it's 2 goals, but I'm gonna be a little different and just say 2-0 instead.
Nice. Hey, interesting storyline. Mark Gahey in this game. I saw a report that he's still interested in joining Liverpool as a free agent this year.
Yeah, that is true.
What dynamic that introduces to this match as well. Is he trying to go out there and just put on this insane performance? Does he ball out and play the best he's ever played? Or is his mind so distracted by the fact that he's playing the team that he wanted to join that he is an absolute shitter? I'm really curious to see how he performs in this.
Yeah, I will say, at least you mentioned the Palace's defense has been great. Conceded only 2 goals this Premier League season. They play with a back 3, at least they did in their last match.
I expect that again.
The way Liverpool's attack works is completely designed to destroy a back 3. Stretch it out and fill in the gaps with speed and skill. So something to be concerned about. Anything else before we hop into some predictions?
So we hop in.
Easy enough. First match on the docket, Brentford hosting Man U. What you got?
Gonna give it to Man U. I think they're going to carry that momentum from the last match and get this one done. Again, love to be proven wrong on this, but I think that getting those 3 points, especially in such a weird, fluky game, is going to have a pretty positive effect on them for the near future. Brentford's coming off a pretty disappointing result at Fulham. They're going to be looking to bounce back. And honestly, if I'm looking at this, I see Man U as a bigger team that I could pick off, but I'm still going to give it to Man U. I think they're going to carry some of that momentum in. No Casemiro for this game. We'll see how that impacts things, but I'm still going Man U. I'm going 2-1.
Yeah, after a solid season last year, losing your manager, your top 2 strikers, Brentford's kind of fallen by the wayside a bit, only sitting 17th place. So I am taking Man U as well. I'm going 1-0. I do think this is a very ugly match. Next one, Chelsea hosting Brighton. I'm taking Chelsea. I think they have to bounce back. The goalkeeper thing is going to be an issue, but it's also nice for Jurgensen that he knows he's starting.
Yeah.
But no Cole Palmer will be interesting if he is actually out for a while, especially with Delop out and a very banged-up Chelsea team already, but I do think they get it done. I'm going 2-1.
I got to give it to Chelsea for the same reason. They need to win. Even if you're missing, you got it. Cole Palmer, don't get me wrong, is about as influential as a player for teams in the Premier League as you'll see. But I still got to give it to Chelsea, especially at home. Brighton, I don't mind what I'm seeing from them, but I'm not fully convinced, especially on the defensive side of things. And I think Chelsea can really pick them apart. So I'm going Chelsea to win this one as well. I'm going 2-0.
Next one up, Leeds hosting Bournemouth. If this was at Bournemouth, I would have a completely different outlook on this game. But the fact that it's at Leeds, where they've looked very good so far, have yet to concede at home this season. 0-0 with Newcastle, who Bournemouth just drew 0-0 with, then 1-0 against Everton. I'm taking a clean sheet, and I'm going 1-0 again for Leeds.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm going to go Bournemouth 1-0. I don't think this is that fun of a game to watch. I think Bournemouth has so far conceded 5 goals from 5 games. This is their chance to go out there and get on the positive side of things, get that goals per game conceded ratio under 1. And I think they'll do it. I think they'll carry the momentum from last week. Got a very good clean sheet. Looked pretty good. They executed their game plan defensively as well as they could. Leeds, I don't mind Leeds, to be honest, but I just don't see this one happening for them. It's just a feeling that I have. Bournemouth has had a pretty decent start. I think they'll continue it. I still don't see a serious issue with Leeds. I'm not going to lie. Like, if I'm looking at Leeds right now, I don't see relegation fodder. I see a competitive team, but I don't think this is one that they get. This one, I'm going Bournemouth. But I could very easily see Leeds getting the win because they've been finding goals.
Been finding goals for one match this season.
Exactly.
Finally, but it was the last match. I think the Wolves match was a very big confidence boost.
And you carry that momentum.
Even with the goal difference, had it not been 5 goals again, losing by 5 against Arsenal, Leeds would be sitting in the top 10 at the moment, which I think everyone would have taken that. On to the next, Man City hosting Burnley. Give me 3-0 Man City the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I don't see any way that Burnley gets anything from this. Give me 3-0 as well.
Forest hosting Sunderland. What do you expect here?
I'm going Sunderland. I think I'm going to have them continue their momentum. I still think Forest's move to fire Nuno and see that relationship break up is incredibly foolish, and I think it's going to bite them in the ass. And if they lose to Sunderland, that will really highlight that fact right there, and I think it will happen. Sunderland has shown a lot since getting promoted back up. 2 wins, 2 draws, and only 1 loss in their first 5 games. It's a dream start. And I think that they're looking at this Forest game, albeit on the road, as another opportunity to pick up some points. And I do think they will, and I think they'll get the win. I'm going 2-1. I think they get a late winner.
Okay. Forest's last match out was away to a newly promoted side. They drew 1-1 with Burnley. They played Real Betis midweek. I don't know if Sunderland are even in the cup still. They are not. But I am taking Forest. I think Chris Wood will be the big man on campus this match, and I do think Ange will have had a lot to talk about in the last few weeks. I think his first match was last weekend for Forest. So giving him some time, giving him the benefit of the doubt, I'm taking Forest 2-1. The Wolves finally get a point when they go to Tottenham.
No. This one's very easy. Give me Tottenham. Give me 3-0.
Yep. I'm going Tottenham 2-0. Villa and Fulham at Villa Park.
Villa needs this. They need this desperately. And I think they get it. I think they'll get it. I think this is the one that they'll finally get. I think they'll go and win 2-0. Fulham, they do Fulham things, right? They've actually done pretty well so far. 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Pretty good start to the year. I expect them to finish right around where they're at, 8th to 12th, somewhere in that range. But I think with Villa needing the results as much as they do, they finally got the goal. They're going to feel hard done by the way they conceded the equalizer. I think they'll go out. I think they'll kick some ass. I think they'll finally get that win they need. because they really are a good team. It's just a matter of when the tide turns, I think, versus if.
Yeah.
So I think this will be the time that it does.
I think it turns, but I don't think it's a full 180. I think it's more of a 90-degree. I think a draw is in the books here. I think it's going to be a very ugly match between both teams, and one or the other is going to have a big save towards the end and survive by the skin of your teeth. So it'll be an exciting end, but I have this 1-1. And the last one on the docket, Everton hosting West Ham. I'll let you take this one.
Gotta go Everton. I can't with West Ham. They have been so bad.
Yes.
I gotta go Everton. I think Everton, I think they did pretty good business this summer, bringing in the guys that they did. Grealish, we've talked about him on this show. Masterclass signing to bring him in to add some offensive flair up top. You lose 2-1 at Liverpool, but I honestly didn't think they played that bad. It's kind of like the best I think you could realistically expect a team to play of Everton's quality at Anfield without some fluky, they go on and win or get some draw. So I think they can take some serious positives from that, and I think they carried into this one. West Ham has looked diabolically bad. I'm going 2-0 Everton. I think they look very good in this game.
Yeah, I think West Ham score, but I ultimately do think Everton's the better team with better players, and they get it done 2-1. Jackson, any final thoughts on any Premier League or footy news and action before we wrap this one up?
I think we basically covered it. I'm excited to watch some Carabao Cup here coming up in about 40 minutes. So,
yeah, Carabao Cup today. I don't think we have any Europa League stuff, and that all starts up tomorrow. So, excellent. Well, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you have not already, so you don't miss any of the Vendetta Sports Media YouTube shows, especially It's Called Football. We'll see you guys next week.